Today, I'm breaking down the key things you need to know about inheritance tax in Spain, known as IST. I've kept its section short and easy to follow. So what exactly is inheritance tax in Spain? Well, IST is the tax paid when you inherit assets located in Spain. The rate and reductions depend on the region, your relationship with the deceased, and the value of what you receive. So let's go step by step. Do you pay IST if you live abroad? Well, yes. Any person inheriting Spanish assets must pay Spanish inheritance tax. Living abroad doesn't exempt you from this tax. Now, did you know that your inheritance tax liability in Spain depends on the specific region that applies to your case? Each region of Spain sets its own reductions and bonuses, and they are applicable regardless of your nationality or residency status. To determine which regional rules apply, it is necessary to establish whether the deceased was a Spanish resident or not. If they were resident in Spain, the applicable regulations will be those of the region where they had their residence. If they were not resident, the rules of the region where the highest value of the assets located in Spain is found will apply. Therefore, always check the rules of the applicable region, because even though no one is exempt from settling the inheritance tax, you could benefit from specific allowances. Let's talk about tax groups. Your tax group changes everything in Spanish inheritance tax. There are 4 groups. Group 1 is children under 21. Group 2 are children aged 21 or older, spouses, registered partners, and parents. Group 3 consists of siblings, uncles, aunts, nieces, and nephews. And Group 4 is everyone else. In general terms, most Spanish regions offer generous allowances for Groups 1 and 2, which increase your tax-free threshold together with significant reductions in the final tax payable, typically 99%. In contrast, Group 3 beneficiaries only benefit from the smaller national allowances, and Group 4 does not even have tax relief available. So your group determines the reductions you can claim. Do you pay full tax on the family home? Not always. Spain offers up to 95% reduction on the value of the main residence for close relatives in Group 1 and 2, that is, spouses, children, parents, and other direct line family members. In some regions, certain Group 3 relatives may also qualify if they are above 65 and have been living with the deceased. However, to apply this reduction, key requirements must be met. The property must have been the deceased's main home, and the beneficiary must keep their share for a minimum period, usually 5 years, unless an exception applies. So this often lowers the tax dramatically. How long do you have to deal with the tax? In principle, you have 6 months from the date of death to file the inheritance tax. You can also request a 6-month extension, but you must apply within the first 5 months. Importantly, the IST must be paid before the heirs can receive or take ownership of the inherited assets, so don't wait until the last minute. How do you actually pay the inheritance tax in Spain? Well, to submit and pay the tax, you must complete some forms. Form 660 sets out the full inventory and valuation of the estate and is usually prepared first. Form 650 is the actual inheritance tax return. Some regions require both, while others combine them into a single filing. Once the forms are completed, the IST can be paid directly from the deceased's bank account, provided there are sufficient funds. Banks are permitted to release money specifically for the tax payment, even if the account is blocked. These avoid heirs having to use their own savings to pay the tax upfront. Do you have to pay inheritance tax twice if 2 countries are involved? Not necessarily. Spain does not have double taxation treaties for inheritance tax, but it does allow credit for taxes paid abroad on the same assets. Likewise, many countries offer their own tax reliefs or credits to avoid taxing the same inheritance twice. So good cross-border advice is essential to prevent double taxation. What happens if you don't file the tax? Well, you may face penalties and interest, and you won't be able to register inherited properties in your name. Banks will also refuse to release funds without the tax being filed, so it's always better to file on time. This was a quick and practical overview of inheritance tax in Spain. Getting proper advice before making a will or starting inheritance process is essential to mitigate tax as much as possible and to avoid filing late. If you'd like help with a specific case, feel free to contact us.